Welcome everyone to Off Market. As always, thrilled to be here. Can you believe? Guess what episode we're up to now?
16. Really?
20.
20?
I'm shocked.
Okay.
Every time I say what episode we're up to, I am shocked.
Do we get a present for our 21st?
I was thinking that. What number do you celebrate? I think you can't have one
21.
until we're up to 50, to be honest. So just give it a while. How are you both feeling? Busy? Market's busy? You both look tired, no offence.
It's Vodafone's
Thanks.
fault. We're both with Vodafone. Vodafone's crashed today, so hopefully by the time this airs, it'll be back. We'll be back
sure it will
online.
be. I'm sure it will
There's
be.
a flood of emails and that, but I think it all's going well.
Good. We are in a brand new location today.
Beautiful.
We're
Good
very
parking.
very excited about this one. If you look behind, it's empty because all of the staff are over here. But we're in the Domain offices today in Subiaco. Big thank you to the guys at Domain for hosting us. Obviously, they are, of course, one of Australia's largest property platforms. If you're looking for property, which it seems like everyone in Perth is, jump on the Domain website. And we've got some special agent guests in the audience as well. So thanks to those guys for joining us. Very nice to see you all.
Very good looking.
Team.
Yeah.
It's the crew, yeah.
Salespeople. All right, guys, we're going to get straight into it. Now, today I'm kind of rolling our two first segments into one. I know you're upset.
You're going to disappoint me here, Jess.
So,
Hang on, it's his fault because I did call him asking for him to do an auction.
Ailes and Mans were playing golf.
Yeah.
oh,
couldn't get him.
priorities.
Couldn't get him. So the time's finally come, 20 episodes in.
Where was your property you were wanting to auction?
Well, can't tell him on that, but it doesn't matter. Anyway, I couldn't get him. It's too busy. So there you go.
Okay, so for anyone who hasn't watched the show before, anyone in the audience, we have two sections that we normally do. First up, Under the Hammer, which is Ross's opportunity to talk to us about the auction market and tell us a story.
Yeah.
And then we have the Real Press, which is where we like to kind of pull apart what the local media and what the Australian media is saying about the property market at the moment, because sometimes what they're saying and what you guys are seeing as the reality are two different things.
Yeah.
As you know, as any agents know, as anyone who works in property knows, it's a big topic at the moment. Everyone's talking about property. Everyone wants to know about property. We don't want to flog a dead horse, so we're not going to hammer too much into it. Do you have an auction story for us before we roll on?
Jess, Pope Catholic. Come on.
All right.
Okay. I've actually got an auction story that comes from the public, which is really, really good. Okay, so the other week I had a couple of auctions. One, both for Paul D'Anzo from Beaumont Coastal, so shout out to him. One was in Corbinia, we sold for about 2.6 million over the hammer, and the other one was in North Perth. Now the North Perth one was quite fascinating insofar as huge amount of interest in it, classic Federation style property, which always generates a lot of interest, but we had people everywhere, and I think we had about 6 or 7 bidders on it, sold for a fantastic price. But more importantly, that Channel 9 were there filming the auction, and they grabbed somebody out of the crowd, and they said to us, "Tell us what you think about auctions." And we certainly those of us that are advocates always go on about it's a transparent form of marketing. Everybody understands what an auction is, etc., etc. And they've interviewed this guy, and he said, "What I love about auction," he said, "it's the transparency." And this was a guy in the crowd, random. They could have chosen anybody.
It wasn't a plant?
Absolutely, I wish it was, but no, it wasn't. He said, it's transparent. He said, and more importantly, he said, everybody has the equal opportunity to secure the property today, because one of the things that concerns me at the moment, and Nat and I were talking about this before, is for every one property that is sold, there's 4, 5, 6, 10 people that miss out.
They're missing out.
And invariably, when the agent calls them and says, "Hey Jess, look, I'm really sorry, you missed out," they go, "But I would have paid more." Now, we all know hindsight's a very comfortable place to be, but at the auction, you will never say that, because you have absolute equal opportunity to make your next move and to pay that extra 1,000 or whatever. And if you say no, then it's your decision. You can't blame anybody. So to me, for all that's going on in the market, transparency, not so much methodology, but transparency is such an important factor, and I just don't know any other methodology that can deliver it. And that guy that said that, I want to kiss him.
I think
Stop. Hold back.
the transparency thing is spot on, but I don't think in certain sections of the market, I don't think anyone can buy. And the reason I say that is obviously most auctions, I know there's flexible options. You don't have to be obviously a cash buyer.
Yeah.
We're sort of talking a lot about first home buyers getting to the market. It's very rare first home buyer with borrowing 95% is going to put their hand up at auction. So it is transparent to the market, but I think depending on the owners, how they've been, I guess, to a degree, educated about the process, if they expect it to go on that day and knowing it's only going to be cash buyers, a good agent will go, look, this is where it's at.
Yeah.
But we do have these people waiting for these conditions. Then the owner also gets the choice of both.
Yeah.
But when we've had to previously sell properties, and I don't do them because they're a bit of a headache, but the mortgagee sales, and they've said we need to go to auction, I've said to them, as long as you understand we're taking out potentially 80% of the marketplace
in that market.
Whereas I guess the properties we're seeing where they're upgrade buyers, they've typically sold, what have you.
They're ready to go.
They're ready to go.
Yeah.
Can we just say because buyers is a big thing at the moment, obviously, they're missing out. So for buyers who don't understand the process, if a home isn't going to auction, can you clarify? My understanding is house goes to market, you present your seller with 4 offers, then they select which one they want to negotiate with, and then you're in negotiation with one buyer. Is that correct?
Well, in previous markets, yes.
Yeah, saying yes.
But what we're seeing, well, I'll look at you now. What we're seeing differently is an owner can't have their cake and eat it too. So if you're good at what you do as an agent, you explain to the buyers to say, look, there's going to be multiple offers. Now, whilst we'd all like to negotiate, an owner can't go 500, 500, 500, because if they all said yes, 500, you've sold the property 3 times. So the negotiating with more than one offer at a time is something that's, I think agents have been very slack on. I think you probably agree, Nat. You know that they're playing offers. It's very dangerous territory.
Yes.
Very dangerous territory. So I think what I think is a better way is like auction, saying, look, you understand there is multiple offers. Put your best foot forward, understanding that it'll be a yes or no answer. But then your job is to go to the owner, look, Mr. Owner, they've come to this level understanding there is multiple offers. But you can't really get them to come in at 480, knowing the owner wants 500, then get him to 500 because there's multiple offers, then going, we'll go 520.
Yes.
You've fast-tracked that because there is competition. And I see too often agents, well, actually I hear probably more from buyers saying, we put in this, found out X amount of time later, and we missed out. But what I'm noticing big time now is buyers, and I spoke about this to the guys at Crib today, buyers are almost expecting not to get the property now. And they're detaching to go, well, here's my offer. I'm just going to keep looking. And there is very dangerous territory for an owner to go, well, look, we've already got this in week 1. Let's just see what happens. Because I don't know if people know, but last 2 weeks we've had almost 10% rise in stock. People have realised it's a great time to sell. The rental freeze is over. There's a bit more competition. So don't be surprised that offer sits there for 2 days, goes, hang on, 27 Smith Street's popped up. I'm withdrawing. I'm having a crack. And again, I think owners have to, agents probably more importantly have to educate owners on that.
Okay.
Did you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like literally when you call me, they're like, wow, I can't believe it. And the call when they miss out, they're no longer in tears. They've almost accepted the fact.
It is that whole education process and making sure that dialogue to the buyers is so they understand that we call it your walkaway figure. So you're happy if this property sold for $1,000 more, you'd be quite comfortable with that. So they know that.
On that, I want to talk to you guys about methods of sale. Because again, lots of the media are saying buyers are missing out, blah, 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 blah. So these are the things I want to know. In a sentence, what is each method of sale? What does it mean? How do you guys decide which one to choose? And how does a buyer decide what to offer on an offers property? How do they make that decision? So let's start with the easy one, which is a from number.
Okay, yeah.
Explain.
Okay. Well, I guess a from price should be, and it's not always, again, at a price point that all with reasonable conditions the owner would entertain. So you can't put it from 250 if the owner said, Shane, I'm not taking any less than 300. Again, agents have done it. It's not advisable because once you do get offers at a certain price point over the from, if the conditions are reasonable, you can no longer market it at that level anymore.
Okay.
And we see this all the time, which is it doesn't make any sense. Pisses buyers off, pisses owners off because I told you I wouldn't look at 600,000. Why'd you put it from 600?
Okay. Yeah. Offers.
Yeah.
What does that mean to a buyer?
Well, offers, and I say to buyers, I know, and owners, I know sorry about language, but I know this is going to really piss you off because as a buyer, you want to know the price.
Yes.
But in certain sections of the market, it's important to draw the inquiry. So years ago, people wait for the Saturday to get the newspapers to go look at properties. Now, the first inspection's online, on Domain. They know the school zones, they know everything. So before, we'd get to meet the buyer to have that conversation. Now, the only way of really doing that in an area where there's not enough supply, I wouldn't do it in a city or with an apartment because it's one dime a dozen, but a beautiful character in, let's say, Mount Lawley, on 1,000 square metres, you could put offers because...
So you're drawing
You're
inquiry.
getting inquiry. But
you're drawing the call.
this is where it's really important. Now, the data would suggest at the moment, because it's moved so quickly, 1.1. The reality is, and if we got audited, we have to show we arrived at 1.1 for this. The reality is it's probably 1,250.
Yeah.
So we're saying, look, the market's very clear, these owners do want to sell. If you're in this vicinity, please come along. Because we can't give a 1.1 because we all know that's too low. So we're saying if you're in this vicinity, come along, it will be sold. But it needs to be chosen on a certain clientele, for one. You need to be, I think, educated buyers to a degree. And also the supply and demand. If you've got an oversupply, I'll just go to the one with a price. Because best way to say to people, years ago, you normally harassed by the salesperson. So you go to a car yard after hours to look at cars. Car sales come along, you don't do that now. You don't see, you might see the old Italian guy in the car park after. But typically they're looking.
They're the ones putting the car on the blocks to take the wheels.
So it's changed a lot. So that's what I think.
And is that the same as expressions of interest?
Yes.
I think, Paz, I think expressions, I think if there's some technicalities around a property, leases, changing of zoning, I think the peak interest in residential, would you agree, would be 7 to 10 days peak, maybe even less?
Or less.
Yeah,
Less?
at the
Yeah,
moment,
okay.
yes. No,
So let's
yeah.
say 7 days.
Yeah.
But if a property has some technical issues, connection to sewage, those sort of things, you don't want that buyer to make a rash decision, put in clauses like DD. So to say expressions of interest, to say, we're going to allow 30 days, do not stress, it's not going to be sold before then, unless sold prior. But it's ultimately, so they can actually go to the council, the regulatory bodies to go, this is things you should know.
Yeah.
If it's a business, for example, they're already a lease in there.
Yeah.
You need that time to speak to council and find out because that can change price rapidly. You know, so yeah.
It just, it's Shane, it gives you opportunity for due diligence.
All right. And then set date sale, end date sale.
Yeah, sort of the same, aren't they?
Yeah.
What?
Same difference.
Same. So it's all the same thing
Yeah.
expressed in a different way.
The whole method is to get as many people in the shortest amount of time to be aware of the property. But if you had a rural property and expecting in 3 days, well, it's a good chance someone might want to go look at it. So each property is different, but I think the worst line I hear from an owner is, but it's only been 3 days. Because whilst you've been on the market for 3 days, that buyer's been looking for 6 months. So it's...
So really when it comes to method of sale, do agents just have a preferred way that they operate?
Yeah.
They will, but one of the precursors though, Jess, you mentioned set date sale or end date sale. Same difference, play on words. What's confusing...
Don't tell some agents that, because some of them are like...
Yeah, I know.
This is what we do.
I know, exactly. But you see, the public get confused. We get confused.
That's what... Well, I'm the public here.
So at the end of the
I'm
day,
confused.
number one, what I am seeing is this little bit of a creation of new names out there, which is just confusing people. Like, what is that? But with those things, and Shane mentioned it before, if you're going to do a set date sale or an end date sale, I think at the moment you need to actually have some integrity wrapped around. Say, if the end date sale is on the 20th of April, then the 20th of April is the day. What's happening? Because the public are coming along thinking, right, the 20th of April is the day, and so they're getting finance, they're geting things, and all of a sudden they turn up and sold.
Yeah.
Like you're either doing it or you're not. You know, you can't be half pregnant, and a lot of them are.
And set date sale is where you've got a date where you have to put your offer in by, and at that time the owner will select.
You're about to talk about an article which I think is about something being sold in 6 hours. I had 2 clients say to me, property sold in 6 hours. The reality is I don't think there's a suburb in Perth that the most dominant agent in that area wouldn't be able to sell it before it even went on.
Yes.
But it doesn't mean it's the
It's
right
not the-
way.
No, exactly.
Or the best result
So I don't know
for
how
the seller.
I don't know anything about that. As you can see, I'm very unprepared. I just got here and saw that. But I think...
It was a property in Scarborough. He showed it on Instagram.
Yep.
It was sent to a friend.
Yep.
And then the friend bought it.
Okay.
So it didn't really go on the market at all. I don't
Yeah,
think.
well, that's
He
another
did a
conversation.
walkthrough.
But
That is a conversation we've already had on the show, I believe.
Yes.
It's
It's not about the first buy, it's about the best buy.
It is.
Just saying.
Yeah.
Thank
It
you.
is.
when I'm
Agreed.
seeing things go, it's an off-market opportunity.
Yeah.
But if I've seen it, it's not really off-market. It's on the market.
Nat, do you want to join us down here?
Yeah.
Come on now.
I
Just-
think
just
that's probably,
because-
probably
yeah.
the thing that the media is spinning now is that it is the best.
Yeah.
The quicker sale is the best sale, and
No.
you know we've got two of the best agents and agency
And
operators
and the gavel.
in WA, the Golden Gavel
Thank you.
on the panel saying that is not the best way.
No,
Yeah.
that's, as Ross said before, that's very much targeting the first buyer, not the best buyer.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you're just leaving in this market tens of thousands of dollars on the table.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
don't know who's there and what they might be
Yeah.
prepared to pay until you've had your home opened.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
just don't know.
So we're saying, again, I'm not saying this is the right way, but what we're trying to do is say to owners, this is the plan of attack. We're going to launch this day. We're going to have this viewing, which will be database. Then we're having this viewing. No decisions will be made regardless.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Then straight away the buyers know, oh, mate, I'm flying out tomorrow. Sure enough, they come to the home open, but they're flying out. All these lines. And if you go to any home open across Perth now, you will see at least 2 or 3 people
On their phone.
Zooming or whatever they want to call it,
Yeah.
on their phone. Like
Zooming.
Zoom, Scott, you got them all now. But, so, yeah, FaceTiming.
WhatsApping.
Yeah, like, you know.
Well, they're on the Domain app,
Yeah.
looking at the property through Domain and sending that to their friends over east.
So that's
How's
the thing,
that,
like,
boys?
if you're,
Yeah.
So I'm not. Well, this is not an endorsement about. Well, I guess it is an endorsement about Domain. But if you're not putting it on Domain because you're saying to an owner, look, we can save the $800, or if you're saying to, and we're not going realestate.com to save the $1,200, where it may be. Well, are you saving 800 or are you losing 20 grand?
20 grand. Yeah.
Right, and I think if you do get the same offer, you won't be sitting there going, well, maybe I should have gone to market.
Shane's taken your seat today as the preacher. I
He's
like it.
like, normally
He's
I'm on the
fired
bloody
up.
soapbox.
He's fired
bloody-
up.
Yeah.
Well, and the
Um,
other thing I would say to that is if you've gone on market, you've already spent your 2 grand, why aren't you going to your home opens? You know, why are you
Yeah.
selling within
Yeah.
hours of going online or, you know, the
Doing
day
all the
that
work.
you've gone online?
We're getting
Yeah,
people
you've paid
at
the
home
money.
opens coming and saying, I can't believe it's open. And you're like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you
why?
mean?
Oh, every time we go there, it's
And
got.
it's been sold. Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right. Beautiful. Well done,
Yeah.
guys. We do need to move on.
Yeah.
We're going to bring Nat up. Come on down, Nat. Very, very excited about our Hood Highlight guest today. Thank you. Nat lives and sells and world
Breathes.
revolves around,
Beaufort
breathes.
Street.
Yeah.
Sorry, everyone squish over. Squish on over. I
Squish,
just
squish.
moved and I'll get in trouble for that.
Squish, squish.
Is that okay?
Chris will be upset.
I know he'll be angry at me. Mount Lawley, Inglewood, that little hub. So we wanted to chat to you today. Very popular suburb.
Yes.
Adam has let me know that it is the 5th most searched suburb in WA on Domain.
Yeah.
Very, very high up there.
Is that just you?
Yeah, that's just Nat. Very popular area. Of course, you've got the Beaufort Street strip. I wanted to kick off by just asking you how the last year's affected you guys, because it's probably, you know, obviously restaurants, cafes. How did that affect
Yeah.
the area?
Initially, COVID was really hard. I think, you know, Beaufort Street, the strip is dominated by either hospitality venues or service providers. For service providers in particular, where you've got, you know, like your boutiques and your beauticians and your hairdressers and all of that kind of stuff, and their businesses had to close, that was devastating for a lot of those people. The hospitality venues had to learn, and I hate this word, but they had to learn how to pivot really quickly in terms of going from what they were doing to something new. I think one of the unintended benefits of COVID was, with so many more people working from home, is that a lot more people were coming out to the strip. And so even though, you know, you were, you know, effectively in confinement, if you did pop out to get your coffee, so was everybody else. So the businesses that were able to kind of get themselves organised in terms of providing takeaways and stuff like that were actually doing really well. And even some of the more upmarket restaurants that instigated evening takeaways, I think there was a really great response from the local community. And we saw that through the local community Facebook pages as well, in terms of a really ongoing promotion for locals to support local businesses to try and keep them going through COVID.
There's a really strong community there anyway, but do you think
Very
that
much.
it's tightened up even more?
Yeah, I think so. I do think that was one of the, I guess, the benefits, for want of another word, that came out of COVID, was the extent to which people got engaged and were offering help and support, and teddy bear hunts and rainbows, and producing kind of takeaway guides and all of those kinds of things, and just offering neighbours that were stuck at home help with deliveries. There certainly was that. I'm one of the administrators for the Inglewood Community Facebook page, and we saw a huge rise in the number of requests to join the page from people that were not necessarily looking to get something, but actually more to give. I'm home, I can help some neighbours, I want to be available and around to kind of support and be involved. So it really created this really lovely vibe.
Do you feel that the legacy of COVID, if you like, in a positive spin, has been this continued desire for people to support local, to be local, and in particular for real estate agents? I'm sort of sensing that the real estate agents now, their sense of community will be judged. And people are saying, are you just a real estate agent, or are you an authentic part of our community? And something like Mount Lawley, Inglewood, which has got so much sort of soul around. Do you feel that's really shifted over the course of COVID and where we step today versus where we were maybe a year ago?
Yeah, I've always been recognised for the extent to which I'm involved in the community, and that's a product of just being, working and living there and being a bit of a busybody and loving to check out all the new cafes and restaurants and anything that opens. I do think with COVID, because people were at home more, it gave them an opportunity to become more connected to that sense of place. And I think, as more people have not necessarily gone back to work full time but embraced maybe working from home 1 or 2 days a week, that's actually been a really good thing. Personally, it's just anecdotal, but I think there's been a lot more activity on the strip since COVID happened, and since I think more people have had the opportunity to maybe embrace working from home at least 1 or 2 days a week and not returning to the city full time. Now, that might have been at the expense, and is at the expense probably, of the CBD, but I actually think it's massively to the benefit of our local high streets.
Most pockets of any area will benefit, because like my mum at the moment, she drives 40 minutes once a week at the moment. Before, it was 40 minutes there and back, because she can actually choose when she goes in. So I think a lot of areas will benefit from not having to be that close to CBD or not close to certain things. But do you think the reason it's so popular with search or buyers searching is, like I was just thinking about then, you've got probably $180,000 units up to probably $5 million, $6 million properties. And so there's not many areas that would have that diverse.
No, that's right, Shane. Yeah, the housing stock in the area is incredibly diverse. Yeah.
Do you think, we talked a little bit, again, we're going back to COVID, which seems like a long, long time ago, but about people moving out for lifestyle choices. But has there been, the people that buy in your area, are they coming from your area, or are they looking for that kind of more of a sense of community coming from?
Look, they're very much lifestyle locations, right up the Beaufort Street strip. They're driven by proximity to the city, proximity to amenities, wanting easy access to social precincts and to some extent school zones as well, particularly if it's, say, Mount Lawley High School. But it is very much that kind of lifestyle decision, and that's what it offers. That's what you move into the area for. To be able to walk out your front door and stroll a couple of 100 metres and get a great coffee, or hop on the bus and be in the CBD in 10, 15 minutes, because it's a $10 Uber ride to most places. That's the primary reason people choose to live in the area.
What's happening with development? Because we were talking yesterday, and then we were talking also yesterday about the lack of high density going up in the area. There's really only 2 sites that we could think of, the Empire Furniture Store site and then the Baltina site.
Which is
which
where
are
my
very
office
close,
will be.
right down the Highgate end. But the rest of the strip, there's not a lot of development
We've
going
had,
on.
In Inglewood, you've had the Woolworths and the Aldi, so it's good to see some permanent infrastructure going there. The last you've got, there's a niche development on the corner, or just bit further down on Beaufort
green
Street on
one.
the corner of Normanby.
Yeah.
So, but that hasn't really commenced yet. The big one that was going to happen, which didn't, and that site's back on the market for sale, was the one on the corner of 8th Ave and Beaufort Street. So that was going to be 5 stories. That was going to be quite significant, sort of around the old police station, which was required to be maintained. But when they were going through the development process for that, that was when the market was really tough and sticky, and obviously there was a requirement for pre-sales. They didn't get the interest, and so that just didn't happen, and so that's back on the market. One of the concerns I have is it's wonderful to have cafes and restaurants and all of this new infrastructure and that going in, but if you don't have the population there to support it, it's not going to thrive. And so we really do need to increase the amount of residential density along the strip. So it's important for developments like the one that was planned on 8th Ave to get going, and maybe now that market conditions are better, and particularly if the doors start to open and we start to get the population influx that I think and a lot of other people probably think we're going to get, that those sites are really needed. Part of the difficulty with Beaufort Street is a lack of available sites, and then there's also planning issues. So, for instance, in some parts of Beaufort Street, you've got these very skinny little corner lots that front onto the strip and then are on the residential corner. Now, those lots would be fantastic to develop, but they're too small in themselves to be able to do that. What needs to happen is they need to be able to take the land that's directly behind. But the land that's directly behind is typically a residential dwelling that was built prior to 1960, and the council goes, oh no, that's under the heritage protection area. And they won't rezone those individual properties to allow meaningful development to take place on the site. It's nuts. It just doesn't make sense to me. But anyway.
Do you feel this is where, like you see other areas now where it's sat flying over the top of the councils, because the councils get this bloody mindness around things, and so therefore sat and going, you know what, we need the infrastructure, and they'll just fly to the top and make it happen anyway.
Heritage in Stirling is nuts. I just think it's got to a position where it was never originally meant to be, and it just seems to override some good common sense sometimes. Don't get me wrong, I live in a 1930s home. I love the heritage area, but I think it encourages a lot of mediocrity in terms of this slavish, rule following in terms of what things look like, but also that lack of flexibility in terms of what really needs to happen along the strip to ensure that we continue to have vibrant, active communities.
It does, but it brings that longevity to the community. And you look at a lot of these apartment buildings, it's the people that are buying those are the younger crew. They're the ones that will go to the cafe, will go to the restaurant. They don't become sort of glorified retirement villages. They become, which is some of them do, and that demographic don't spend, that demographic don't spend the money. They don't necessarily go to the cafes and all that. You want the crew that are going to utilise all those services, and that's why these need to be done. Otherwise, all these ancillary services and supplies, they just won't survive.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right.
What were you going to say, young man?
I just wanted one more thing. That's perfect. But when you build multi-residential apartments in strips like that, all these places, like you go down these places, they're packed on Saturday, Sunday, because they go to breakfast and lunch. What you need for those businesses along the strip is office space, people like us who are working to go and buy their lunch.
Yeah, agree.
So they come down, buy their lunch at the local cafe, so they're busy all the time, not just on weekends.
You just can't survive on 2 days trade.
But that comment was driven by the fact Paz is still in mourning of the closure the closure of Musk. Like when Musk closed, Paz wore black for a month.
That's a fair thing. Friday lunches there were one of my all-time favourite things to do, Paz. Yeah, it was gorgeous. Yeah,
this is quite the cheap seats. This is our show, mate. Shut up.
No, but Paz does make a really good point, and this is it: is that you see these businesses, at lunchtime, and unless you've got more people working from home, or unless you've got more business and employment located in that area, that's it. There's just not the traffic midweek to support them.
Beautiful. On that note, Roscoe,
Yo,
you are up.
yo.
We're going to Under the Hood.
Okay.
I'm excited about this one, Nat.
Okay. Now, we're expecting big things here.
Oh, gosh.
Okay. In particular, the last question, which was purely for the benefit of Shane and myself.
Yeah.
Okay. So,
Paris,
number
obviously.
one. Okay. So, you've had an outstanding career. You're well talked about in the industry. Everybody knows Nat Hoye. And when you rebranded the other month, it was the talk of the town. So, yeah.
Someone stole your song.
Everybody was talking about it.
Yeah.
So, career highlight thus far, Nat.
Yeah.
Other than this.
Other than that, yes. Other than appearing with the two of you today. Look, I've been blessed with a few. But yeah, opening my own agency, definitely.
Yeah.
Very proud.
Nice.
Very proud moment.
Cool. And now you're sort of really
proud.
doing your own thing big time, aren't you?
Yeah, and that's a joy. That's just been a joy. Yeah.
Cool. You see it on your face. It's cool. Post-COVID, the gates open and we can do some travel. And you can go anywhere. What's your bucket list? Where's Nat going to go and decompress?
That's too funny. The very last big travel event that we had prior to COVID was we went on our first cruise.
Oh. Well, we're glad you're here today.
I'm glad you're close to that.
And I just loved it. I would love to be able to do luxury cruising again. That was just the best, because you know how hard it is for us to escape. And you're stuck on a cruise ship. There's nothing you can do but rest, and it was just wonderful. I loved it. Other than that, do you know, I've never been to New Zealand, and I'm actually really keen to go to New Zealand, so we might be able to do that sooner rather than later.
You go there.
Yeah.
Come and see me. I'll give you all the good places to go.
Yeah.
When you do get some time out, and I suspect it's not a lot,
much, no.
outside of supporting the local cafes and restaurants in Mount Lawley, if you do watch Netflix, any recommendations?
Do you know?
This is important stuff, guys. All right, enough of the sniggers out there. Come on.
I don't get to watch a lot of telly. Telly for me is like I sit in front of it and then fall asleep within half an hour because I'm usually pretty exhausted. The last Netflix shows I watched were a while ago, and that was The Crown, because I love The Crown. And just the production values and the acting on that were fabulous. And my little guilty secret was Selling Sunset. I broke my no reality TV to watch Selling Sunset. I was just fascinated by Christine's heels. How anyone can walk in those is just beyond me.
Was it a true reflection of your day-to-day jobs, guys?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I've seen one episode. I still have not seen one home open. I've never in any of those shows.
It's all showings. It's private showings.
But there's no paperwork. You've watched Million Dollar Listing. I've
They're
never seen
paperless,
any paperwork done.
They're paperless.
It's
counter
just
offer done.
fascinating, isn't it? Yeah. But it's mostly
So
for
that's
the
one
property
word for it.
porn.
There's another one.
But I am absolutely hanging out for. I'm a bit of an SBS and ABC girl, and I'm absolutely hanging out for the next season of Handmaid's Tale. I love a good female protagonist.
My wife was watching that. It was a bit dark and gloomy, and
it's good.
I don't know if you're I don't think you're the target audience.
No. Peaky Blinders. I'm into Peaky Blinders. That rocks.
That and Killing Eve.
Killing Eve's very good.
Killing Eve was delicious. I just loved it. Yeah.
Delicious. Okay, so the next question is what? You're a fearless lady. You're out there just trailblazing through Mount Lawley, Inglewood. I suspect you don't have any fears, but what would be your fear?
Actually, no. That's a really good question, because I think my biggest fear I've come to realise is fear. And if I look back and look at the dodgy decisions I've made in my life, a lot of them have been because I've chosen what I thought was the safer route out of fear. Yeah. So, I've come to be like, obviously fear has a place to stop you doing really stupid stuff. That's right. I did my first cruise ship, and I would go back, so maybe that is maybe that's a bit dumb, but I'm just very, very wary now of when I recognise myself making decisions based on fear.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Excellent.
Yeah.
Decompress. Busy lady. How do you unplug?
Yeah. Sometimes not well, but aside from alcohol, no. Look, I've got a very grounded family. If I get the opportunity that I did on the Easter weekend, I got to see my son play soccer, and I love, occasionally, like being able to do that mum stuff when I can still. I've got a great husband. I've got great friends. We take opportunities to go out where we can and have great meals and lots of laughs. I do yoga. occasionally. When I get there, infrared saunas. So I try and take my opportunities for those bits of time out when I can, and just trying to, I've got great support at home and with my friends, and I think that really helps to keep things on the level.
Balance the stress.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool.
Yeah.
So when you've done all that,
Yeah.
and you go out for a nice meal with your husband,
Yeah.
what's the go-to? Where's the
I'm
best?
trying to guess where she'd say, but
Do you know, you
wouldn't
should
put mustard,
never,
it's gone.
like,
Say must.
you should never ask a Liberan to decide, like, on things like that, like your favourite place to eat. It changes all the time. It depends what I'm in the mood for. But I have been loving Vincent Wine. And,
yes.
and Alana is also a
Locals.
big fan of Vincent Wine. So that opened, a couple of months ago, didn't
Yeah.
Alana? And I love long Friday lunches. That's my downtime. Like if actually, there you go. That if I decompress is a long Friday lunch. So that's my absolute favourite thing to do. And
remember those.
Vincent,
They're
Vincent,
the best. They're the best.
yeah. And Vincent Wine has become one of my favourite spots to do it.
Nice.
Great share plates.
Amazing wine list.
Yeah.
Do they do a cutlet, Shane?
No.
No, but
No.
actually,
They
it's an interesting story. I actually met him one night, the owner.
Yeah.
I was in, and he was staying. I'm opening a wine bar, and that
Yeah.
another guy knew. And he was talking about it, and he knew his wines, and I was like, well, he's got a
Yeah.
pretty good track record.
Yeah.
And he's delivered.
Yeah. No, it's
Very good
beautiful.
wine.
Are they
Yeah.
a must?
No,
Some of them. Some of them are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the-
Some of them are. Yeah.
the
Cool.
wine list, very, very good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Next show, Lana.
Yeah.
Vincent Wine. That's it. We're going there.
Very
Okay.
good.
That's
There
it,
you go.
Jess.
All
Over to you.
right, guys. Now,
Don't have
final section, play of the week.
Don't-
We're kicking it. We're kicking play of the week. Shane promised he had something very controversial to share with us this week, and he cannot remember even saying it.
I don't even say.
It is on camera.
Next week, something's going to happen.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Could be controversial.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we'll pull that out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, we promised to movers and shakers. I have a couple to congratulate. Laurie Curtin, friend of the show, previous guest,
Yeah.
has opened her own huge move to open her own agency, Curtin & Co.
Wow.
After a very long time as GM at her previous agency. So huge congratulations to Laurie. And another new agency that's just opened, little boutique, is Jeff and Judy Hasluck, who've just opened Hasluck Real Estate, who were previously at Ballison.
Yep.
So big congratulations to those guys as
Gee,
well.
Jeff's been around a long time.
Very
Yeah.
long
Yeah,
time.
good on him.
So very excited for them.
Yeah.
Anything else to add on the movers and shakers front?
No.
Heard on the terrace?
It's an interesting sort of side. Do you think we'll start to see more? There feels like there's a movement towards more people opening smaller boutique
I think.
agencies.
Well, I think when there's a bit of confidence and feel like that,
Yeah.
people, is that
Do
a
their own
time
thing.
when they think they
Yeah.
can do their own thing?
It's interesting. I think it depends why you're doing it, but if you're going there to collect all the money, I don't think that's the
I don't think
case.
people. I don't
But
think
if you're going there, you want to create a
That
brand.
ain't the case.
That's, I
Yeah.
think if you're going there to create a brand, and maybe if you're with some of the bigger franchises that are, this is how we do it. Obviously,
Yeah.
with
Yeah,
what
they
you're
wanna
doing, you probably wouldn't have
operate.
that freedom.
No.
So really,
Yeah.
each agent's their own.
Yeah.
Some guys want to be reps. Some people want to be
business owners
Yeah.
Business
and
owners.
operate in a way that
Yeah.
they want to operate in.
Yeah.
So if you do want to hear about that, Nat and I had a very good chat about that on a podcast a little while ago. So, all right, guys, that's the show.
Thank you.
Another huge thanks to the crew at Domain for having
Thank
us
you.
today. Very much appreciated. Of course, thanks to Nat for joining us as our wonderful special guest. Thanks to the Golden Gavel and the Golden Gosnells over here.
Golden Gosnells. Golden Gozzy.
And we will see you soon.
See you guys.
Thank you.
Bye.